become by becoming rich.
Take all your money, buy Bitcoin.
I say when we
You can
sell.
wake up every morning and say GM.
GM. Monday, the 8th of July. Let's look at daily levels. So, talking about the importance of retests. How often do we do it? Whenever price comes down into a level, it bounces up, people panic again thinking they've missed the bottom. What happens? Comes all the way back for a retest. Happens over and over and over and over and over again. There you go. Retests. Bitcoin the same or similar. And here we are now. As I go to the volume chart for BTC, and we look at some of the potential moves here. The week though, the close was certainly bearish. So first of all, BTC trying to bottom out here, although I would say this is just a bearish consolidation at the moment, unless Bitcoin's able to hold at this level. It seems like just a squeeze after it dipped down into the lows right now. The market structure is bearish. We had a extremely bearish close, like closed lower than the wick, and obviously the close candle itself. This is just a downtrend, right? So we now have downtrending structure on the weekly. That's important. We didn't have that 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, we had price still going sideways. We now have downtrending weekly structure. You had a high into a low, into a lower high, into a lower low. Your expectation next would be a lower high on any subsequent bounce. From a weekly chart perspective and looking at BTC zoomed out, indicators off, everything else, this would be the first time you'd want to consider seriously that this cycle could be over if you're a structure trader, right? This is your weekly structure break. As a market structure trader, there's no other way to look at this other than it's downtrending, probably going to go lower, and doesn't seem to have much in the way of demand or anything stopping it. It's also above average volume on that push, so there's volume confidence with it, with that break. And, you know, whether the bull market's over or not over, whatever, I covered this in Weekly Outlook yesterday, so don't need to rehash old ground. Opportunities will present themselves. The opportunities I'm looking for are long. It may be from here, it may be from lower. The best trades are still going to be longs when the time is right. But that doesn't mean that we'd have to go to 100k in the next 2 months or 6 months or even in the next year, whatever. Since the market has broken structure, since it's in a weekly downtrend now after being in a strong weekly uptrend, you have to wait for some kind of confirmation and an invalidation of that. So, you know, we are quite a bit away from that happening. If you look at ETH's weekly is bad as well, sort of a double top or an FTR. More really an FTR, failure to return. You had a strong push into the highs in March. You had a second push wasn't able to reach. You're back at this support, which is holding for now. But it's not a good looking chart either. And, you know, I think that both Bitcoin and ETH went up. Obviously, Bitcoin went up a lot more. Bitcoin was up significantly. Bitcoin is a better, has been a better trading choice and better for a hold. And I think that pricing in of pretty much all the stuff that we've seen has happened. ETFs got priced in. ETF launch took in, 14 billion net flows so far. And the general excitement for crypto is not anything near 2021 levels. So it does make sense that nothing's at all-time high. Whenever we don't have as much hype, there's not as much excitement, there isn't as much hope, there isn't as much promise, right? This has been kind of I guess this cycle has been like blackpilling people, right? Blackpilling is basically where you take the sort of pessimistic view of reality. And markets with pessimism and reality are not going to perform that well, right? Markets that go up a lot do so because of hope, optimism, and promises for the future. Bitcoin can still be that, as you saw when we had that big run. It looked like it was dead all the way up to the 70s. But, when you ask people, either traders or investors or anybody else who's sticking around and playing around in crypto, everyone's just trying to make money. And obviously, that's really what all financial markets are about anyway. But if you were around last cycle, you'll know, and certainly if you were around in 2017, 18, 19, 20, any of those years really, except maybe 2018, that was very bad in terms of sentiment. In the previous years, it wasn't, I don't want to say this, it's always about making money. It's always about making money. Nobody would do this if there wasn't an expectation that the coin goes up and you make money, right? But there was also a lot of excitement and hype about being early to the next big thing. Part of it genuinely was feeling like you're early to this new wave of tech that could be huge. And if it's huge, prices of whatever you own are going to go up a lot. That feeling is gone. That feeling does not exist. And I'd be interested to know what you guys think. If you've tell me in trading chat or whatever, if you've also been around for multiple cycles, you feel that too? Think back. I remember even in like 2020, whenever DeFi summer was starting, that was so new. There was all these new things like these food-based tokens, but it wasn't just meme coins like they are now. It was, yeah, we know these are silly food-based tokens, but what's underneath it is the whole borrow and lending, and is the whole world actually going to end up transacting on chain, and is everyone going to ditch the banks? And that kind of those thoughts were genuinely real. It was obviously people being too optimistic, but for a time people thought, yeah, this can really disrupt the financial system, not just Bitcoin but like crypto, and they're like, it's 24/7. You can transact across the world. It's way easier. No banks. Take out the middleman. Blah, blah, blah. So even though it was just bullshit Ponzi's and the coins are basically meme coins because it was just about popularity, there was a good feeling underneath it. That doesn't exist now. You have a mixture now of predatory VCs, venture capitalists. So they come in, they throw a bunch of money into any crypto project when it's in a pre-seed or seed round, pre-launch, and then they jack up the valuations and then they try to extract by dumping on people. And they have these terrible tokenomics, low float, high fully diluted value, all this kind of stuff. So you have that, which is like one side of the market. And then you have a lack of interest from the other side. Right, there's like too many coins, not enough capital to move them. There are not enough people who actually believe that any of this stuff is worth holding for anything more than a few weeks, which, by the way, should be a really, really good piece of alpha for you for the rest of this cycle. these coins are not going to change the world. People have realized that. The market gets smarter and realizes that holding this stuff for anything other than just a few weeks is probably a bad bet, negative EV, as we would say. And so as we go forward, if you're looking into alts and taking positions and when it's going to go back up, I think you want to really adopt the profit-taking mindset where when you get long for your next big swing trade and there's a breakout and there's a alts go up and your coin is pumping and all that, I think you want to consider more the fact that these things will stall out of momentum and top out. No matter how good the breakout looks, it's usually just right at the end. So chain link, and a nice move up, second move up, boom, breaks out here. Like over here, you'll be looking at chain link and you're thinking, yeah, great. You know, I'm in a long from over here. It's going to trend up. We'll target some of these levels there. And then because you don't take profit and everyone else is taking profit, and it's not like it goes down straight away or really fast. It's slow. It's like this. There's probably still people sitting in longs on Chainlink from, you know, this breakout. And they're just at risk of round tripping the whole thing. Where the actual trade was 3 or 4 weeks here and like 2 or 3 weeks here. And it's probably going to be the same way throughout the rest of the bull for most of this stuff. When we say the rest of the bull, is there even a bull market? Who knows, right? And that's the other part that I was thinking about, like this idea of, has there even been a bull market? Yes, there has. There was acceptance that we had a bull market. The feeling, the sentiment, all of that, it was there. It was real. It wasn't a bull market for every single coin. Stuff didn't hit new all-time highs. But one of the most dangerous things you can think is, oh, well, this can't be the end of the bull market because Ethereum hasn't even hit all-time high yet. Ethereum doesn't have to hit all-time high. Ever. Ever again. It might. Right? I think it will at some point. I would still bet on it doing it. But it doesn't have to. And it just reminds me of last cycle. It's the exact same mindset, completely different charts, right? So every cycle looks and feels different, but what's underlying it is the same, some of the same mistakes that people make, which were like last cycle. Well, no, it can't be over here because ETH hasn't even hit 5k, right? So people thought ETH was going to 10k over here and it was going to flip Bitcoin. So because it hadn't even hit 5k, like, no, we'll be fine. We'll see how it reacts at 5k. This is definitely not the end. It's just a pullback. It's just a pullback. And Bitcoin didn't hit 100k. So those are the two things. Bitcoin hadn't hit 100k, so it can't be over. We're just consolidating. We're going to break out, blah, blah, blah. It's just over when it's over. Right? The market doesn't care about price targets. It also doesn't care about time. People, as I think as well, like, I do think, given that we're in July 2024, I do expect that there's more upside to come. I do expect that thinking that we top out and everything goes down, it's all over just post-halving, does seem a bit strange to me. But I'm seriously considering it, obviously, because most people aren't. Most people are saying, it can't be. You think we're topping out post-halving? You're thinking, like, yeah, I do. I do think that. Not because I'm certain it's going to happen, but because you should consider all possibilities, right? So, leaves me thinking, what next? And, I mean, you really have to just give it time. I think anyone who's confidently telling you that definitely bull market's not over is lying. They're lying to you or they're lying to themselves. And they're ignoring what are extremely weak moves on the chart. Ethereum, that's not a bullish. Like, it's never been bullish to have a lower high bounce, right? Like that, where price comes all the way back down. That mean reverts fully. There's no planet on which that's bullish. Now, can it become bullish? Sure. Like if it holds and builds itself up. Can it do that? Yes. Is this currently a bullish chart? No. No. It's just not. And obviously Bitcoin had the chance to sort of rescue that weekly candle with the nice reversal that we were seeing, and then just tanked into the weekly close. And there's going to be monthly closes coming up soon. Or not soon, sorry. We are on a new month. We've had our first full week of the new month. And yeah, I mean, if again, we're just looking objectively at these charts here. ETH at this level on a monthly, if it closes below there, that really, really, really looks and is impossible to deny that that's not just a lower high, a failure to return, fully completed. Right? 6 months it would be by that point. That's fully completed. Where does it go from there? Back to support, I guess. Right? Bitcoin, same thing, right? So a lot of work needs to be done here to rescue it. And I think it can, but so far it's not doing it. So far it's building value, so finish up with the volume profile here. If you've seen the latest lesson, you'll know what I'm talking about, and then you'll see that we're currently building value way outside, way outside of the previous value area. So Bitcoin is fully gone, broken out, rejected. That is gone. This range, done. Completely done. Nothing will change that. There's opportunities for things like this. Whenever price tried to dip down over there and it spent 2 or 3 days, pop back inside. Yeah, that is like a failed breakout. This is not. It first broke out, failed to reclaim, broke out again, and is now trading down here. So because of that, you would expect that when it comes back up that it's not going to reclaim like this because of the time and the volume and the effort in between. You would expect that there absolutely can be a retest of the value area low or the POC, and if it does, you'd expect that to fail. So I'd be looking at 61, 62 as the most probable failure point for BTC if it goes there. Otherwise, you're now seeing it build value in a new area, and that might be just filling in some of the gaps of the run up. So if you go from bottom to top, you see here. So the volume was very unevenly distributed on this leg from January into March. And what it's doing here is filling in an area that previously had very low volume. So this is a mean reverting market. This is essentially a market going back and seeking efficiency. It's seeking to test these areas, the previously left behind volume gaps, to see what's the demand like there. All right, so I would expect that we are probably going to be staying between this kind of 61 and 51. We obviously haven't gone to 51 yet, but I would look at that as the point of control, and then 61 over here as the upper end for where it could retest. And that's kind of roughly what I'm looking at for BTC so far. Until something else changes, this just looks like a 4-month range breakdown with multiple bearish confirmations and no signs yet of a bullish reclaim. So that's that. GM. See you all later. 2 streams today, 4 p.m., 6 p.m. UTC. GM.